Hello everybody and welcome back. It's Zodyrus here bringing you episode 3 of my Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness Let's Play. Okay, party people, so as I'm going through here, let's go ahead and take on the guy I like the least because of his shadow Pokemon, which is Browsix here. He is supposed to be a ground type trainer because of his Baltoy. However, we find out later on, after he loses his Baltoy, if we fight him again, that he's actually a normal type trainer, which is not confusing in the slightest. But yeah, I will definitely, like I said earlier, yesterday for you guys, 2 minutes ago for me, I will be capturing them all, and then I will be saving the game, resetting the game, saving the game, or pausing the recording, saving the game, turning the game off, putting it through PKX, and going from there. Once I'm in PKX, I'll alter everybody that I want to alter, which is everybody. Give everybody a moveset that I see as good. Then I will take them all, purify them at Agate Village, and start the video back up when I have everybody purified. And then I will bump back into the game and take care of them as I see fit. Now I'm definitely, since I'm going to be using Master Balls to capture everything, normally what I would do is I would use Breloom or an Ampharos or both to capture the Shadow Pokemon because Ampharos gets access to Seismic Toss and Thunder Wave. Meanwhile, Breloom gets access to False Swipe and Spore. Now, however, since I am not going to be relying at all on chance when it comes to capturing a Pokemon, I'm just going to chuck a Master Ball at their face and call it an evening. I'm going to be sticking strictly with fully offensive movesets for every Pokemon I use. Now, I already know 4 of my main party members, although one of them might switch out. Because I'm definitely going with Vaporeon, Ampharos, and Gardevoir as 3 of my final 6. Primarily because it's just what I'm used to. I might go Tyranitar, that'll come later. When I get to Agate Village, I can get a Wooper and then trade it in for 1. I might also do Aggron instead of Tyranitar, depending on how I feel. Because Tyranitar's Sandstring can be kind of a pain in the butt, but Tyranitar is much stronger than Aggron. Although it does have lower defense. It has higher everything else, including a very high and respectable special stat and special attack stat. Well, special defense, special, whatever. Outside of that, I might use Houndoom or Arcanine, but I know Houndoom will be what I'll use until I get Growlithe, which won't be until I get to the Shadow Pokemon Laboratory. Not this one. This is Cipher's lab, but not their Shadow Lab. Who do I want to steal from next? Since I'm not using a Water type, I'll take yours next. Yeah, Red 6 has Houndour, Blue 6 here has Spheal, Brown 6 has Baltoy, Yellow 6 has Mareep, Perp 6 has Gulpin, and Grease 6 has Seedot. Grease 6 is also the only one of them to have 6 Pokemon. A little bit on the nose there, but whatever. But I'm definitely going to purify everybody off screen, get a good team set up. Outside of what I've already mentioned, I'm debating Flygon, although Flygon really does need Earthquake to be truly viable. And I'm not going to have any flying types on my team, so having a Pokemon with Levitate that also uses Earthquake is kind of a problem. I also don't want any overlapping types. So, if I go Tyranitar, I'll probably switch to Arcanine, because Houndoom and Tyranitar are both Dark types. Though again, I don't know. I do want to give some representation to Gen 3 more than I could in Colosseum. Because obviously in Colosseum, my final team ended up being all Gen 2 Pokemon. Colosseum is a Gen 3 game, so I want to give some representation to the fucking gen the game is from, you know, not the previous generation. So definitely Pokemon like Teddiursa are not going to be in there, although Pokemon like... Well, because Vaporeon and Gardevoir are givens. They have to be there. And Ampharos, well, I could go without her. But she's a really good electric type. I'm not exactly sure. Houndoom or Arcanine will definitely be on the team because I need a good fire type. I always like having a fire water core and then expanding the types beyond that. Sometimes a fire water grass core. But there's not a lot of good grass types in this game. I mean, Shiftry is not good. It's very frail. It has a 4x weakness to bug moves. And it's also weak to common fighting, ice, fire, and grass or flying moves. Also, holy cannoli coley, I'm getting fucking lag again. Oh, I guess I just gotta power through it because my CPU is hitting 79%, 86, holy shit. Yeah, my CPU is just kind of going like up and down, up and down, up and down all day. The closer it gets to that higher mark, the harder it is to run. And I don't think adding more RAM is really going to take any strain off the CPU, because emulators primarily work off the CPU, and so a shitty CPU like mine, I mean, it's an Intel i3-7100, so it's a later gen i3, but it's such a low gigahertz range that it's slow. Like, I see some improvement. I'm not even really looking at the screen, because I can play Gale Darkness damn near blindfolded. I actually mentioned that before when I was recording Metroid Prime, when I thought Metroid Prime was going to be the winner. There's a lot of games that I could probably play blindfolded, or just looking at them with one eye. XD and Metroid Prime are so second nature to me that I can pretty much do anything while I play those games. I could make a fucking souffle while I'm playing them. In fact, I think I did that once. Just some of the random shit that I've done. I know I've made lunch while recording, or while playing Pokemon XD before. I don't think I've ever done it playing Metroid Prime, though. Be an interesting experience, especially if I could get a frickin' phone that could play Metroid Prime. If I can get a phone that can play the Dolphin emulator. I know there's several phones that can, but none within my non-existent price range. Like, I could get a really, really sweet-ass computer for emulation with the same amount of money that it would take me to get a phone that can only do fucking GameCube emulation. Although, technically speaking, a phone that could do GameCube could probably also do Cipher as well. But I'd rather have a PC that does that because it's just easier. 500 gig SSD or hard drive, you know, Windows 10 Pro. I'd like to get an Intel i7-9500, but those are fucking expensive. Definitely can't afford that. It's like $350 for the CPU alone. Plus it takes a specific socket type, and I have to get a motherboard to support that socket type. God, if I just had the expendable money, I would just fucking build a fucking rig and show you guys how to do it. Because I think that's kind of the best way to advertise my skills, is through a medium like YouTube, where I can show you guys, like, the same way ETA Prime does. You know, ETA Prime is a gaming computer specialist. He's a technician. He's a computer technician. He spends probably hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on the equipment he uses for his videos. And he probably owns his own business. I don't know for sure, because I don't think he's ever really talked about it. But I've been watching his fucking tutorial videos with emulation for years now. He's part of the reason that I actually want to build my own rig, actually. So major props to ETA Prime. If you've never heard of him, please check him out. He knows his shit. Like, like, when I started going to school for the IT stuff, I didn't really know what the hell he was talking about in his videos, but once I started going to school, and I'm like, wow, this shit is good. This is really good shit. Like, I need a 3.1, 3.0 gigahertz CPU or higher just to run all this shit without any lag. Because right now I'm using 58% of the CPU. If the CPU's usage is below 70%, I don't get any lag, but there's times where for some reason it likes to spike. Because my RAM usage right now, it's at 3 gigs flat. It's been at 3 gigs flat for 25 minutes now. But the CPU keeps upping and down. I don't know what that is. Alright, well, we got one more of these shadow bastards, and then I'm going to go ahead and pause, save, PK Hex, start up again, all purified and ready to go. So Master Ball, the Houndour. I did get them all right? Right? 6? Yeah, I think 6. And thankfully, he's pretty weak. I'm probably gonna put... No, I'm gonna put Waterfall on Vapo, as opposed to Water Pulse, because Waterfall is stronger. It's 80 base power as opposed to 60 with Water Pulse. Water Pulse's 20% confusion chance is good, but Waterfall has a 20% flinch chance, which is certainly better. Let me just make sure I caught everybody that I said I did. Okay. So I'm going to put you guys in there. Put the 2 I'm actually going to use in here. And I'm going to leave here, and then they're going to do their little shtick again. Where they don't know how to fucking count. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, 8. Do you guys not know how to count? I don't know how these guys are adults. But anyway, so I will see you guys in just a moment with a fully purified, fully battle-ready team, prepared and ready to knock some bitches out. So give me just one moment, I'll be right back with you. Okay. So that little brief interlude actually took me about 25 minutes. But let's get inside this building because the sandstorm has started letting my computer take a shit. I don't need a shit in the bed on me, please. Also, turning the AC back off. I had to turn the AC on to get my room back to a livable temperature, but it's very, very loud. The CPU is hitting 82% off the bat. Alright, so let me give a brief summation of what I did after the pause. So I took everyone I had, put them up to their final stage, gave them competitive level move sets, competitive-ish stats. Why did I press B there? Also, holy crap, CPU, stop it. Probably because I left the fucking thing frozen until 1. I gave everybody, even the ones that I'm not going to use, I gave them good move sets just because I can. Also notice Shift Tree's level 50. I just did that because. Gave Vaporeon Waterfall, put Fire Punch, Thunderbolt, Seismic Toss, Hidden Power on Flaffy, and then of course actually gave it, evolved it from Mareep. I got Houndour to Houndoom with Flamethrower, Sludge Bomb, Crunch, Hidden Power Grass, Ursaring with Return, Brick Break, Aerial Ace, and Metal Claw. Claydol with Psychic, Ice Beam, Solar Beam, and Hidden Power Fire. Although this is literally the placeholderiest of placeholders. And then the final guy here, girl, I guess. We got Ledian with Psybeam, Thunder, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, and Hidden Power Fire. So I do believe we are now ready and raring to take on this laboratory. And as soon as we turn a corner, we get ambushed. Such is life. Such is the life of a young 12-year-old boy running into a criminal organization's headquarters to steal shit from them. Pokemon definitely works better when you think about it as a fully fictional story. The moment you try to add real-world elements to Pokemon, the fucking series falls to pieces. Because the question that I've always had since I was a little kid playing Coliseum. I mean, Coliseum, it's a little bit easier to understand because Wes, the character in Coliseum, is like 16, 17, maybe 18 years old. He's clearly not a child. But in XD, you're clearly a child. You are very clearly a child. I mean, it's obvious. It's clear as mud. It's clear as day. So to me, it's like, I could get it when it was Wes, because Wes could probably, actually fight, physically fight the guys. But we're a 12-year-old boy walking into, God, our mother. I tell you now, if I was 12 years old and I was, in any sense of the word, even if I had magical creatures that could shoot elemental lasers at things, my mother would never have let me leave the house. In fact, the creatures that can shoot lasers out of their faces would probably be the reason that she'd never let me leave the house. She'd be more worried I'd start fires on shit instead of actually fighting criminals. I mean, no, granted, if I did have Pokemon, I would be fighting crime. 100%. Especially if I had the legendaries. Oh my god. Like, literally. If I had Arceus, oh boy, criminals beware. Because you ain't gonna last very long. Like, if I had Pokemon, like, first of all, I always give props to Gardevoir on this, but you gotta admit this is fucking badass. Gardevoir can create a black hole in the palm of her hand. And in case you didn't know, a black hole sucks in everything, including light. So if you create a black hole the size of a golf ball or a beach ball or however big in between that fucker must be, you're not going to survive that. It's just not happening. Now granted, Gardevoir with her psychic powers could manipulate the black hole so that it only attacks things that she wants to aim it at. But still, how the fuck are you gonna get away from a black hole if even light can't escape? And then there's Pokemon that can create, like, pocket dimensions. There's Pokemon that can drop meteors from the sky. There's other Pokemon that live in the sky, that, like, control the fundamental forces of nature. There's Pokemon that control the very ability for things to live. Pokemon that can control time, dimensions, space, alter things as they see fit. The only reason that Pokemon don't take over the goddamn universe is because they run the bitch already, first of all. And secondly, the way that, like, things work in the Pokemon universe is definitely way different than the real world, because, I mean, even Arceus, all-powerful Pokegod Arceus, is still a Pokemon. You can still capture it. So imagine having literally God, and I don't mean metaphorically in a metaphysical... No, I mean literally God. Arceus is the creator of the Pokemon world. It is literally God. And then just throw a purple ball with an M on it at its face, and then all of a sudden, poof, I have God now! I mean, granted, you know, Arceus' power in the movies that has been shown in is very downplayed compared to how God would be portrayed in our world. But, I mean... Say, for example, you took that motherfucker to, I don't know, the Marvel Avengers universe. Arceus versus Thanos. If Arceus is God, what is fucking Thanos gonna do? I mean, Thanos could kill the trainer, but then again, Arceus could probably bring them back to life. I mean, sure, Thanos could be like, oh, I have the Infinity Gauntlet, the 6 Infinity Stones, gives me unlimited power and I'm the destroyer of universes, but like Arceus is literally the creator of all things, universal or otherwise. You destroyed half the population of an entire planet with the Infinity Gauntlet. Arceus could just fart and you'd be gone. Interesting how the pause helped me collect my thoughts and now I'm happy again. Anyway. Or what about, like, even just the power of something like Giratina? You know, Giratina could simply warp Thanos to another dimension where he can't use his powers. I mean, Giratina is said to not just be the controller of the distortion world, he's the master of dimensions. Which means the only Pokemon that can fuck with Giratina dimension-wise is Hoopa with its rings. And Hoopa's rings can also transmit anything from any dimension into any other dimension. I mean, that's kind of broken by itself. And then if we're going to get a little bit more current, what about in the case of the Ultra Beasts? Interdimensional life forms. And come from a region far removed from the world of Pokemon, and yet you can just throw a Pokeball at it and all of a sudden it becomes your pet. I'm just saying here, guys, I mean, Pokemon is basically what would happen if you took the concept of gods being alive in real-world creatures and turned them into a pet simulator. It's taking God and turning it into a pet, which I am all for it. If I was in the Pokemon world and I had the ability to capture Pokemon, like I had unlimited mass balls and I could capture anything that I wanted and I wasn't limited by like perfect IV, perfect nature, blah, 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 none of that shit. It was just, I have the Pokemon now. Yeah, I would abso-fucking-lutely go and start catching legendaries for no fucking reason other than to... I would be a supervillain. I unfortunately would probably be a supervillain, honestly. Whoops, shit, let's copyright, fuck. I accidentally hit play on my phone when my phone rang. Okay, phone, stop, leave me alone. Anyway. Sorry, my brother texted me. Anyway. Oh! Okay. So, on topic again. Like, you could just throw fucking Pokeballs at. Plus, a Pokeball can't just capture Pokemon, and also a Pokeball completely tames the Pokemon as soon as it's caught. So Pokemon want to be captured, including legendaries, because there are people that have tamed them. I mean, the first example that comes to my mind is Tobias from the Gen 4 anime, where he captured a Darkrai and a Latios. And presumably had more legendaries than that, because if he had Latios, I see no reason why he would not have Latias. Which also in and of itself proves that Darkrai and Latios are Pokemon that there are more than one of, and most legendary Pokemon are considered to be only one. It's confirmed that there's more than one Mew, more than one Mewtwo, more than one Celebi, Manaphy, Jirachi, Shaman. There's actually fields of Shaman, good god. Victini, Meloetta, and a bunch of other mythical Pokemon like that. It's never stated if there's more than one Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, or Arceus. I would assume no. Because I'm pretty sure Arceus probably wouldn't allow there to be more than one of those guys. But, I mean, if we're going by the anime standpoint, which is the only evidence that we have outside of the games with multiple copies of legendary Pokemon, but legendary Pokemon can breed. I fully believe that, theory-wise, that the reason that legendary Pokemon are in an undiscovered egg group is simply because there's never been enough information and studies on legendary Pokemon, because they are so rare, to confirm how they breed. I mean, other Pokemon, like the common fodder that we see every day in the Pokemon world, I mean, their breeding habits are very well documented because there's so much evidence to supply, you know? Like, that's why certain Pokemon are known to be able to breed with others, because, like, they have, coinciding mating seasons, and they end up getting together naturally in the wild, so that, scientists and professors began studying that, figuring out what Pokemon can breed with what other Pokemon, and shit like that, But in regards to legendary Pokemon, they tend to stay hidden. The rare occasion that they've seen baby legendaries, like, for example, the baby Lugia from that episode from Gen 2 Orange Islands anime, which, by the way, is still one of the cutest goddamn things I've ever seen in my life. It's basically a chibi Lugia. Like, yeah, give me. I want it. But that's the only time that Lugia was seen outside of the movies. To my knowledge, anyway. I don't watch the anime religiously like I used to when I was a teenager. In fact, I didn't even see one episode of the Sun and Moon anime at all, and I haven't even bothered to check. I didn't even check the latter half of the X and Y anime. Like, I stopped watching the anime at Black and White. Mostly because I was super into Diamond and Pearl and Gen 3 and Gen 4's anime, because I remember I watched Pokemon Gen 4 Diamond and Pearl anime. I watched it the day of release, and I watched it all the way until it finished. But then as soon as Black and White's anime came out, I was like, the moment that they started the episode and they said that Ash was 10 years old, I turned the TV off. Ash is not fucking 10 years old. I'm sorry, he's not. I don't care. If we're just talking about Generation 1 and 2, okay? Not even getting into 3 and 4, just 1 and 2, Ash would have been 13 years old at the start of the Hoenn region. Because it was stated verbatim that he had 2 birthdays at least, and there was a time gap between the end of Johto and Hoenn before Hoenn started, so he had to be at least 13 when he went to Hoenn. He canonically had 2 birthdays in the Johto region and the Kanto region. Vice versa, by the way. So, like, there's no fucking possible way in hell that you're gonna look at me and tell me, oh, Ash is 10 years old. He'll always be... fuck you. Okay, I'm just gonna go interdimensional differences and whatever and yada yada hoo-ha, but no, Ash is not fucking 10. I personally think Ash is like 16, 17 by the time the Sword and Shield anime come out, but of course he's not, because that would fall away from the purview of the recommended audience that the fucking, that the advertisers are trying so hard to appeal to. They're trying to appeal to 10-year-old boys because apparently sorry, I can't blame Nintendo for this. Apparently the Pokemon Company thinks that only young boys play Pokemon. Which is not the case at all. I'm 25 years old. I've been playing Pokemon since I was a young boy. And I will continue to play Pokemon even when I have my own young boy or girl, okay? I'm going to teach them how to play. I'm going to show them how cool it is. But, like, that gets into another discussion that might be another video in itself, but the fact that the Pokemon Company is not appealing to the crowd that is actually the ones buying the game. They're so adamant about appealing to the young crowd that they're forgetting that more than half of their fan base is over the age of 18. Like, if my YouTube channel alone is enough to go by, most of my viewership comes from people who are my age, okay? Between 18 and 25, and then a couple that are 26 to 40. You know, but my general age group, I think it's like over half my viewers are my age. That's because it's kids like me, you know, young, like adults like me that were born in the 90s, when Pokemon started, that are the ones that have the expendable income to go out and buy this, you know, the $60 games and the, you know, $5 Pokemon card packs and all that shit, because we're the ones that grew up, we're the ones that have the nostalgia, we're the ones that, you know, we're the ones that have all that added baggage, but, you know, young kids? Pokemon needs to get their head out of their ass and realize that their viewership does not come specifically from the kids. If anything, the kids just supplement the amount, because who's buying those games? Is it the 10-year-old? No, it's the parent. The 10-year-old kid's not going out and spending $60 on a game for his Nintendo Switch that he also didn't buy. No, it's his parents that are going out and buying that game for him, you know? So you can't tell me that, like, oh, we're trying to appeal to the kiddies out there. Like, how about you try to appeal to the people who are buying the games rather than the people who you think are buying the games, or rather the games that the demographic is for? Like, if you guys ever saw my Pokemon Sword Let's Play, which I really suggest you check it out, it was actually one of my favorite ones I've ever done for this channel. But if you check that out, you'll see, like, I mean, you'll look at my videos up to the release of Pokemon Sword and Shield. I was bashing the game as much as any other Poke fan. But once it came out and I got my hands on it, I'm like, this is actually pretty damn good. Do I hate the exclusion of more than half the roster? Yes. Do I wish they were all in there? Absolutely. But did it completely detract from the experience? I'd have to say no. See, the big thing when it comes to me with a new Pokemon game is if, and this is going to be the thought pattern from here on out if they continue down this trend of cutting Pokemon every new generation. If you're going to cut something, like, here's my deal. If you're going to cut something, at least make the new ones worth the cut. They introduced, like, what? Less than 80? No, 80 Pokemon. Not including the fucking, the 3 or 4 new legendaries that were revealed post-release, okay? I'm talking about numbers 811 to 890, which is Grookey to Eternatus. I gotta say, most of them are crap. I'm sorry to say it. You know, I don't like most of Sword and Shield's roster. Not to say that they're all absolutely, you know, insane amount of garbage, but I gotta say, probably one of the more underwhelming rosters. I know I'm darting topics all over the place, but bear with me, please. I'm ADHD as a motherfucker. But I'm looking at the Galarian Pokedex right here on my phone. You know, Scorbunny, Rillaboom, and Teleon, they're okay as far as starters are concerned, although I'm very, very, very disappointed that they went the Generation 2 route and made them all monotype to the respective type they represent. I really did not like that. I mean, I can easily see Rillaboom being a grass fighting, grass ground, grass rock type. Cinderace I can easily see being a fire or electric type due to its speed. And Inteleon I can easily see being like a water poison, water dark, maybe water... Shit. Actually, Inteleon's a little bit trickier. But I could definitely see like water dark, although we already had that with Murkrow, I'm looking at a Murkrow. We already had that with frickin' whatchamacallit. We already had that with Greninja, and I'm not a big fan of Greninja. Not because Greninja's a bad Pokemon, but because I like Delphox. Everybody hates Delphox because Greninja's so much better. Side note, when the games were actually being announced for X and Y, I had predicted that we were going to have the grass type be a grass dark type, and the water type be a water fighting, because that way, if Delphox was going to be a fire psychic, psychic is strong against fighting, So the secondary typing of Delphox would have had a strength against the secondary typing of Greninja, and then the secondary typing of Greninja, of a fighting type, would have a strength against Chestnuts, which would have been a dark type. But instead, they flipped them, and then it just made Greninja's both types strong against both of Delphox's, meaning Delphox was fucked, and then both of Delphox's types were strong against Chestnuts, which put Chestnut at the bottom. But no, they could have made a perfectly even ring, but no. Fighting Dark and Psychic is the only other trio besides Fire, Water, and Grass that create a perfect ring of effectiveness against each other. But anyway, I digress. I don't know, Inteleon, like, I definitely see Cinderace being Fire Electric. That would have been fucking fantastic. I would have been totally on board with that. Rillaboom, I don't like Rillaboom in general, because I really don't like apes. I mean, the primates, with a T. They're my least favorite animal in the entire history of the animal genome. I prefer bugs to primates, I'll put it that way. Especially and almost exclusively chimps and baboons. They are ugly, they are angry all the time, they are stupid looking, I hate them. It's kind of like that Uncanny Valley scenario where the more human something looks, the more creepy it is. And chimpanzees look more human than any other animal besides humans. Same thing with baboons and gorillas, which is probably the reason I don't like them. I've never liked gorillas. I've never, ever liked gorillas. I don't know. There's just a lot of Pokemon that I think, you know, could have had a better shot. But in general, with, like, you know, you got the starters. Greedent is a waste of a fucking Pokemon slot. It's absolute garbage. Corviknight is cool. I really like it. Orbital, and I'm going by Final Evolutions only, by the way. Orbital is pretty neat. I like that it's finally a bug psychic type. We haven't had that before. Feeble is a generic dark type. I factor it in the same category as Liepard, although it is stronger as far as its bulk is concerned. It does have higher defense and special defense, but it has lower everything else. But I definitely prefer it over Liepard because of what it can do. Liepard's pretty much just for fake-out use, which kind of limits it quite severely. Eldegoss is the worst grass type in the entire history of the franchise, and that's saying something considering Lilligant was a thing 3 generations prior, but Eldegoss doesn't even have hidden power to fall back on like Lilligant did, and also doesn't have any good boosting moves like Quiver Dance like Lilligant did. It doesn't even get fucking Dream Eater or something. It's limited exclusively and only to grass and normal moves, making it outright the worst grass type in the history of the franchise, period. I think it also gets Pollen Puff, but ooh, what the fuck are you gonna do with a goddamn bug move when you can't even hit your own type super effectively? I'm looking at the thing. Yeah, Pollen Puff, ooh. This is all, these videos are also kind of my way to rant about other things. That way you guys, because I always love talking, and it's kind of hard to talk just at a camera. But anyway. Double is pretty cool. I do like its design. Also, Lulu is just absolutely adorable puffness. Dreadnought is just a giant snapping turtle. I mean, it's a strong snapping turtle. I'll give it that. You know, it's got good stats. It's got pretty good attack stats. It's got decent defense. It's okay speed and a good HP. But, Boltund I really like, but I also really wish Boltund was not a pure electric type. If it was something else, like electric fighting or something, that would have been much better. But Boltund unfortunately falls in the kind of electric type. Colossal is pretty cool. I do like that it's the first genuinely usable fire rock type. And it's one of the only fire types in the game for that matter. Let's grab this fucking disc here. I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to be done with this section of the game and then I'll cut the video. So this one is going to be a little bit longer than the last one. Then we got Applin, Flapple, and Appleton. Appleton is shit, Flapple is meh, Applin is okay. It's an apple dragon. That's literally what it is. It's an apple that also happens to be a dragon. Sandaconda is just a generic ground type. It's pretty much a snake version of Sandslash to me. It's got a similar stat spread for one thing. Cramorant is a pointless dodo, I guess. I don't know what the fuck Cramorant's supposed to be. Barraskewda is okay. It's pretty strong. It's fast, got good physical attack, but other than that, it's absolutely pointless. Oh, it's got 136 speed and 123 attack. Nice, but it can't really do anything. So that's kind of annoying. Although it is OU for some reason. I'm happy with Toxicity, though, because we finally have a Poison Electric type, which is what I've been clamoring for since Gen 5. Scorch is obviously badass. I talked about that in my Let's Play. Graplock is just there. It's a fighting-type auxiliary that's more physically instead of specially based. Could be worse. Poltergeist is cool. Hatterene is definitely my most favorite out of the new Pokemon, just because it reminds me of Gardevoir. Grimmsnarl is badass, despite being absolutely hideous, but that's kind of the whole point. And I'll go into more detail about the others in another video, but I think I'm actually going to go ahead and call this here. After all, we're hitting 35 minutes, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any ideas for content, please leave a suggestion in the comment section down below, or my Twitter page, Zodyrus, link in the description. Until next time, this has been ZDS. I keep performing one video at a time, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. I cannot believe I said that so goddamn fast. I need some fucking coffee out here. Coffee! Oh! Anyway, have a good night, everybody.